Let me tell you something today. If you want to win in this life, you don't just train your body. You train your mind. You don't just lift weights in the gym. You lift the weight of your doubt, fear, anxiety, and you crush it every day with your discipline. A warrior ain't just strong in the muscles. A real warrior is strong in the mind. Why? Because battles don't start on the battlefield. They start in your head. The enemy, your comfort zone. The enemy, excuses. The enemy, that voice that says, I can't. Let me tell you something. You will never be successful if your mind is weak. You can have talent. You can have goals. But if your mindset ain't right, you already lost the fight. Warriors wake up every day with a mission, not motivation. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline is loyal. You got to train your mind to tell your body what to do, not the other way around. When your body says, I'm tired, your mind better say, keep going. When your emotions say, I'm done, your mind better say, we're just getting started. Listen to me. Warriors don't wait for easy. Warriors look for pressure. Why? Because pressure builds strength. Pressure builds diamonds. You ain't gonna be great by chilling. You become great when you push past what you feel and move based on what you believe. So stop scrolling and start grinding. Stop whining, start working, and start working. Train your mind to speak power, not pity. Train it to see opportunity, not obstacles. Train it to fight, not fold. Because in the end, your mind is out of your prison or your passport, and the warrior, he trains every day to make sure it becomes his weapon. Your battles are not won on the stage in front of the crowd or under the lights. They're won in the silence, in the dark when no one is watching and it's just you and your thoughts. Before the world ever sees your success, the fight already happened in your mind. That's where the war is. That's where you either build yourself up or tear yourself down. That's where you choose to keep going or give up. And that choice, that moment, that mindset, that's everything. You don't lose when you fail publicly. You lose when you accept defeat privately. Long before someone quits their job, drops out of school, or walks away from a dream, they already gave up mentally. They already stopped believing. They let doubt creep in, and instead of fighting it, they fed it. That's why I say your battle is in your head. Every day, from the second you open your eyes, the war begins. A war between discipline and distraction, between courage and fear, between potential and procrastination. And most people don't even realize it's happening. They walk into the day unarmed. No mental training, no mindset sharpening. Just vibes and feelings. And guess what? Feelings will lie to you. But the truth, the real power, is when you don't let your feelings make the decision. Your mindset does. I'm not telling you to ignore your emotions. I'm telling you to rise above them. Because the moment your emotions control you, they own you. And warriors don't let anything own them except purpose. Warriors train their minds to see the fight before the victory, the grind before the glory, the pain before the praise. They understand that the hardest opponent they'll ever face isn't outside of them. It's the voice inside that says, you can't, you're tired, or you're not good enough. And if you don't silence that voice, you'll never hear the one that says, you were built for this. There's a reason most people settle. It's not because they aren't talented. It's not because they don't have dreams. It's because their mindset is soft. They've allowed comfort to be their standard. They don't train their minds to handle pressure. But pressure is a privilege. Pressure is what forges warriors. And unless you train your mind to be strong under pressure, you'll break every time life gets heavy. A champion trains when it's rainy, when it's cold, when it's hard, when it's lonely. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't wait for motivation. They don't wait for someone to tell them to go. They just go because they've trained their minds to be independent of circumstances. They've trained their minds to respond, not react. When life pushes, they push back harder. When it knocks, they open the door with a purpose, not fear. You can't expect to win battles you never prepared for. And mental training doesn't happen by accident. It's intentional, it's daily, it's ruthless. You have to wake up every day and declare, I'm not letting my thoughts destroy me today. I'm not giving space to fear today. I'm not letting doubt live rent-free in my head today. You don't just talk it, you walk it. You live it, you rehearse truth, you declare your identity. You remind yourself why you started. You remind yourself what's at stake. Because if you don't, life will remind you of every reason to quit. People want the rewards, but skip the training. They want the win without the war. But the reality is, without mental toughness, the win won't last. Even if you succeed temporarily, without a trained mind, you won't sustain it. That's why you see people crash after they climb. They built their platform, but never built their mindset. Don't let that be you. Build the foundation in your head. Build resilience, build focus, build belief. Even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. You have to be your own coach, your own cheerleader, your own commander. You have to talk to yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. Every move you make, every goal you chase, every decision you take, it starts in the mind. So train it like a warrior. Be aggressive with your standards. Be relentless with your focus. Be fearless with your effort, because no one is coming to save you. No one is going to train your mind for you. That's your job. And if you do it right, if you show up for yourself every single day, the world will have no choice but to see what you already knew, that you were built to win. But first, you had to win the war in your mind. Motivation is temporary. Discipline must be trained daily. You might wake up one day feeling like a beast, ready to conquer the world, ready to hit the gym, crush your goals, chase your dream like it owes you money. But then the next day comes, and suddenly that fire is gone. You feel tired. You feel tired. You feel like showing up. And that's when most people fold. Why? Because they depend on motivation. And motivation is soft. It's inconsistent. It's a spark, not a flame. It's a feeling. And feelings don't build empires. Discipline does. Discipline is that voice in your head that says, I don't care how you feel. We made a decision, and we're sticking to it. It's the system you build so you can still show up on the days you don't feel like it. See, motivation is emotional. Discipline is spiritual. Motivation says, do it when you're inspired. Discipline says, do it because it's who you are. The difference between average and greatness is this. The average wait to feel right. The great get up and do right. It's easy to work when you're inspired. It's easy to commit when you are hyped. But discipline kicks in after the hype dies, when the music stops, when the crowd leaves, when it's just you and that clock is ticking and that dream is still waiting. It's when you know who's real. That's when you know who's real. The ones who train their minds to act regardless of how they feel. Those are the ones who finish what they start. A disciplined person don't need permission. They don't need the stars to align. They don't need a quote, a video, or a pat on the back. They build internal accountability. That means their standards are so high that even when no one's watching, they still deliver. That's the kind of mindset that separates the warriors from the watcher, the champions from the fans. Discipline is repetition. It's saying no to what feels good now, so you can say yes to what matters later. It's waking up when your body wants to sleep. It's grinding when your emotions want to rest. It's choosing the hard path because you know where it leads. And let me be real, you won't always like it, but you'll always be grateful for it. Because every time you choose discipline, you're building something deeper than muscle. You're building identity. You're building grit. Don't confuse feelings with facts. The fact is, you won't always feel like it. The fact is, life's going to hit you with fatigue, frustration, failure. But the facts also say that the ones who win, really win, are the ones who build a routine, a habit, a lifestyle around their vision. They don't wake up asking, do I feel like it? They wake up saying, it's time to go to work. When you're disciplined, you understand that greatness isn't built in one moment. It's built brick by brick, day after day. Some days you're strong, some days you're crawling, but every day you're moving forward. That's what discipline looks like. It's not flashy, it's not exciting, it's not always Instagram worthy, but it's effective, it's real, and it wins. You think Kobe got to where he was because he was motivated every day? You think Serena trained every morning because she felt like it? You think Eric Thomas wakes up fired up every single morning? No. What they built was a mindset that said, this is who I am, and this is what I do no matter how I feel. And that's what you need, an identity rooted in discipline. You have to kill the idea that success comes from feeling good all the time. Success comes from doing the right thing even when it sucks. Success comes from boring repetition, from choosing broccoli over cake, from picking the grind over the excuse, from writing when no one's reading, running when no one's cheering, showing up when no one's clapping. That's discipline. That's power. Because when the motivation dies, and it will, Your habits will carry you. Your discipline will drive you. It'll pull you out of bed. It'll push you through the pain. It'll speak life when your mind is speaking doubt. Discipline is not just what you do. It becomes who you are. And once that happens, you're unstoppable. So don't chase motivation. Build discipline. Practice it. Respect it. Protect it. Let it become your lifestyle. Because motivation may inspire you to start, but only discipline will carry you to the finish. Excuses are the enemy of excellence. They're dressed up like reasons. They sound smart. They feel safe. But deep down, an excuse is just a permission slip you write yourself to stay average. It's a barrier you build to avoid doing what you know needs to be done. And the truth is, as long as you keep making excuses, you'll never experience the fullness of your potential. You'll never see how far you can go, how high you can rise, or what kind of person you can become, because you're too busy defending your limits instead of breaking them. Excuses are seductive. They'll whisper, it's not your fault. They'll tell you, you're too tired. It's too late. You've already tried. They show up in your weakest moments, offering you comfort instead of challenge. If you're not careful, you'll start believing them. You'll start building your life around your excuses instead of your purpose. You'll talk yourself out of opportunities. You'll hide behind your past. You'll convince yourself that you're not ready. And in doing so, you'll miss the very moments that could change your life. Excellence doesn't make room for excuses. It makes room for growth, for responsibility, for truth. When you operate in excellence, you hold yourself accountable, even when no one else does. You don't point fingers. You don't play the blame game. You look yourself in the mirror and say, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. That kind of mindset is rare. That kind of mindset is powerful, because when you stop making excuses, you start making changes. People fail not because they're incapable, but because they're unwilling to face the truth. The truth that success requires discomfort. The truth that consistency is hard. The truth that they can do more, but doing more requires sacrifice. So instead of doing the work, they create stories. I'm too old. I'm too old. I don't have the resources. I wasn't born with talent. But let me tell you something, someone with less talent, less money, and less opportunity than you woke up today and did it anyway. Why? Because they refuse to make excuses. You don't get results by talking about what's in your way. You get results by finding a way through it. Every excuse you make is a step away from your goals. It's a step back from who you could be. But when you drop the excuses, even just one at a time, you start gaining ground. You start gaining ground. You stop waiting for perfect conditions and start creating for perfect conditions and start creating your own momentum. And don't get it twisted. Dropping excuses doesn't mean life gets easier. It means you get stronger. It means you stop wasting energy on why you can't and start focusing on how you will. It means you take ownership, full ownership of your actions, your decisions, your mindset. That's the first step to greatness. Stop hiding and start owning. There's always going to be a reason to quit. Always. But warriors don't use those reasons. They use them as fuel. When someone says you're not good enough, they train harder. When life says, it's over, they say, I'm just getting started. That's the difference. You can let your excuses define your life, or you can let your determination rewrite it. You have to make a choice. Every single day, between comfort and growth never comes with excuses. Growth comes with courage. Courage to say, I messed up, but I'm not done. Courage to say, I didn't get it right the first time, but I'm still in the game. Courage to say, I'm scared, but I'm moving anyway. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. And if you respond with ownership, with focus, with faith, there's no obstacle too big. But the moment you make an excuse, you hand over your power. You say, this situation has more control than I do. And that's not how warriors move. Warriors take back control. They own their time. They own their attitude. They own their grind. So the next time an excuse creeps in, kill it on the spot. Replace it with a solution. Replace it with a commitment. Replace it with action. Because every excuse you kill is a step closer to your greatness. And your greatness doesn't live in your excuses. It lives in your effort. It lives in your persistence. It lives in your decision to stop settling and start rising. Your body follows your mind. Control your thoughts. Control your life. It all begins in your head. Not your muscles, not your bank account, not your followers. Your thoughts. That's the command center. That's where your future is being shaped every second of every day. The decisions you make, the battles you fight, the way you show up. It all starts with how you think. And until you take control of your thoughts, you'll never take control of your life. You can grind all you want on the outside, but if your mind is undisciplined, your life will always follow that chaos. Every action begins with a thought, and every failure, every success, it was first formed in your mind. Before you ever skipped a workout, you told yourself you didn't have time. Before you ever quit that goal, you told yourself you weren't good enough. And before you ever won, you told yourself you would. So don't tell me it doesn't matter. Don't tell me your thoughts are just random ideas floating around. Your thoughts are seeds, and every seed becomes something. So what are you planting? If you wake up every day thinking, I can't, then don't be surprised when you don't. If you constantly feed your mind negativity, doubt, fear, then your actions are going to mirror that. Your body will slow down. Your drive will shrink. Your hustle will fade. Because your body doesn't lead. Your thoughts do. So if your thoughts are weak, your life will be too. That's the truth people don't want to hear. But until you confront the way you think, you'll keep wondering why you're stuck. This is why mental training is non-negotiable. Just like you train your body, you got to train your mind every single day. You can't afford to let your thoughts go unguarded. You can't afford to let doubt grow wild. You have to take responsibility for what you let live in your head. Because your body is just a servant. Your mind is the master. Your feet don't move unless your brain tells them to. Your hands don't build unless your mind gives the order. That's how powerful your thoughts are. You've got to stop feeding yourself stories that keep you small. Stop saying, this is just how I am. No, this is how you've trained yourself to be. But the good news is, you can train your mind to be different. You can teach yourself to think stronger, to believe deeper, to fight harder. You just have to be intentional. You just have to start catching those thoughts that limit you and replacing them with thoughts that launch you. It's not about pretending everything's perfect. It's about refusing to let fear and negativity sit in the driver's seat. It's about saying, yeah, it's tough, but I'm tougher. It's about developing a mindset that's so locked in, nothing can shake it. You think champions don't have doubt? Of course they do. But they've trained their minds to respond with strength. They've trained their minds to say, I'm going anyway. The most dangerous thing you can do is let your mind drift. Because when it drifts, it doesn't drift toward excellence. It drifts toward comfort. It drifts toward excuses. And if you don't take the wheel, life will drive you somewhere you never wanted to be. So every morning, take back control. Decide what kind of thoughts you're going to feed. Decide what kind of energy you're going to carry. Decide who's in charge, your circumstances or your mindset. Every single thing you want in life, that next level, that dream, that transformation, it starts with you believing you're capable. That belief doesn't just appear. It's trained. It's built through repetition, through showing up when it's hard, through refusing to quit, through speaking life into yourself even when you feel broken. That's how you train your thoughts. That's how you gain control. And once you control your thoughts, your body follows, your grind follows, your results follow. Because the moment your mind is locked in, your body becomes a weapon, your work becomes intentional. Your energy becomes focused, your moves become unstoppable. So don't waste another day waiting for motivation. Don't wait for the world to change so you can feel better. Change your mind and you'll change your world. Control your thoughts and your life will obey. That's what warriors do. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They create them with their mindset. The comfort zone is the silent killer of potential. It doesn't shout. It doesn't warn you. It doesn't tell you that it's robbing you. It just slowly convinces you to settle. It's like, oh, you're okay right here. It makes average feel acceptable. It tells you to stay safe, stay predictable. And before you know it, the fire you once had fades, your ambition turns into routine, and your dreams shrink to match your comfort. That's how potential dies, not with a bang, but with a quiet decision to stay where it's familiar. See, growth doesn't happen where it's easy. Greatness doesn't live in safety. It lives in pressure. It lives in risk. It lives on the edge, outside the walls of what you've already mastered. The comfort zone is attractive because it feels good, but comfort is a liar. It keeps you busy doing the same thing that won't take you any further than where you already are. And the longer you stay there, the harder it becomes to leave. You get used to playing small. You get used to not trying. You get used to ignoring that voice inside that says you were made for more. Every person you admire, every legend you study, every success story you've heard, none of them were built in comfort. They had to leave safety. They had to confront fear. They had to walk into situations where they didn't know the outcome. But they showed up anyway, because they understood something most people don't. The cost of staying comfortable is far greater than the cost of discomfort. You might feel pain stepping into the unknown, but you'll feel regret if you don't. Comfort convinces you to delay. Tomorrow, or later, or next time, it gives you all the reasons why now isn't the right moment. But if you keep listening to that voice, you'll wake up 5 years from now in the same place, wondering where the time went. Time didn't steal your dreams. Comfort did, and it did it slowly, quietly, day by day. They don't grow when things are easy. You grow when they're hard, when you're challenged, when you're forced to stretch. That moment when your heart is racing, your hands are sweating, your doubts are screaming. That's the moment you're expanding. That's the moment your future self is being shaped. So lean into that. Don't run from it. Don't fear the discomfort, chase it. The reason most people never see their full potential isn't because they don't have it. It's because they never activate it. And you can't activate something you're afraid to touch. You can't find your strength if you always avoid the struggle. Every level you want is protected by pain. Every breakthrough is guarded by challenge. If you want it, you gotta fight for it. You gotta push past your preferences and demand more from yourself. You gotta be willing to be uncomfortable. Be willing to fail. Be willing to look foolish. Be willing to lose before you win. That's the price of transformation. The comfort zone won't ask for that. He'll offer you safety, security, and sameness. But none of those things will fulfill you. None of those things will wake you up in the morning feeling alive. What makes life meaningful is the pursuit of purpose, and purpose never lives in comfort. Stop waiting to feel ready. You'll never feel fully ready. That's a trap. Move anyway. Start anyway. Show up with doubt, with fear, with trembling hands, but show up. Because every time you step out of your comfort zone, you're building the kind of mental toughness that can't be bought, can't be faked, and can't be ignored. That toughness will carry you places motivation never could. And here's the truth. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. If your days feel too easy, your dreams probably aren't big enough. If you haven't felt nervous in a while, you probably stopped evolving. So check yourself, audit your routine. Are you pushing yourself, or just preserving what's familiar? Are you chasing progress, or just repeating what you've already mastered? The comfort zone is sneaky. It feels like peace, but it's really paralysis. And the only way to escape it is to choose discomfort on purpose. To get up early when you want to sleep in. To speak up when you want to stay quiet. To start something new when you're scared to fail. That's how you take your life back. That's how you reclaim your potential. That's how you live with no limits. You've got to want it more than you want to feel safe. You've got to get uncomfortable and stay there, because that's where your best life begins. A warrior prepares for battle, even when there's no war. That's the difference between someone who reacts and someone who's ready. Most people wait until the pressure hits. They wait until life smacks them in the face. They wait until the storm is overhead before they try to get strong. But a warrior doesn't wait. A warrior is training every single day, mentally, physically, spiritually. Not because there's a fight today, but because they know the fight is coming. And when it does, they're not scrambling, they're not shocked, they're ready. You don't sharpen your sword when the enemy is at the gate. You sharpen it in the silence, when it's peaceful, when everyone else is relaxing, partying, chilling. That's when the real ones put in work. That's when the warriors are in the shadows, building muscle, building discipline, building mindset. Because they understand this, you can't predict the storm, but you can prepare for it. Life is unpredictable. Challenges don't come on a schedule, but preparation isn't about predicting, it's about being ready no matter what. And this mindset applies to every area of life. You don't wait until you're broke to learn how to manage money. You don't wait till your health fails to start taking care of your body. You don't wait till your marriage is falling apart to learn how to communicate. Warriors don't operate on reaction. They operate on reaction. They operate on readiness. They see the future coming and they prepare for it with intention. They know that every moment of preparation, every early morning, every sacrifice, every rep, every book, every journal entry, it all adds up, even when no one sees it, especially when no one sees it. The people who lose are the ones who train only when there's a visible threat. They get serious only when the fire starts. But a warrior doesn't need a fire to get fired up. They live ready, they're steady, focused, dangerous, even in peace. Because peace is when you build. Peace is when you elevate. Peace is when you take ground, not just hold it. Preparation isn't glamorous, it's repetitive. It's lonely. It's boring sometimes. You're working and nobody's clapping. You're grinding and no one's watching. But that's where strength is forged, in the unseen hours. That's where confidence is born. In the days when you could relax, but you chose to rise. In the nights when you could sleep in, but you chose to sacrifice. That's what makes a warrior, not how they fight when everyone's watching, but how they prepare when no one is. See, when the battle comes, it doesn't announce itself. It just arrives. You'll get hit with life unexpectedly. Loss, failure, rejection, betrayal, heartbreak. But if you've trained your mind, if you built your character, if you prepare in silence, then you don't fold, you stand. You move with purpose. You fight with clarity. You respond with strength. That's the reward of preparation. Too many people want to perform, but they don't want to practice. They want the victory, but not the routine. They want the crown, but not the cross. But warriors, they live in the process. They embrace the grind because they know the process is the preparation. The process is the protection. The process is what separates the real from the reckless. You can't fake preparation. You either did the work or you did. Then when life tests you, it will show. You want to lead? Prepare when no one asks you to. You want to succeed? Train even when you don't feel like it. You want to be resilient? Then build your character now, not when the trial comes. A warrior understands this deeply. Success is not just about talent. It's about training. It's about readiness. It's about being ahead of the challenge, not beneath it. There's no off-season for a warrior. There's no break from purpose. There's no vacation from vision. Because the warrior mindset says, I don't train for today. I train for what's coming. Even if the battle never comes, the preparation made them better. Even if peace lasts longer than expected, they're growing. They're evolving. They're becoming more. And that's what life is about, becoming everything you were built to be before the world demands it from you. You don't wait for chaos to get composed. You don't wait for pressure to get prepared. You become the type of person who's already ready. Before the call, before the storm, before the fight. And when it shows up, you meet it with strength because you've been training in silence. That's the warrior's way. That's the mindset that wins. Your pain can be either your prison or your fuel. You choose. Every one of us goes through pain. That's a guarantee. Life will hurt you. People will betray you. Things will fall apart. Dreams will delay. You'll face moments when you don't know if you can keep going. That's pain and it's real. But what separates the warrior from the worrier is what they do with that pain. Some people take pain and let it cage them. Others take pain and let it ignite them. Same experience, different response. That's the power of choice. Pain doesn't ask permission. It shows up uninvited. But what it does next is up to you. You can either let it break you or let it build you. You can either let it become your excuse or your edge. Most people allow pain to become a prison. They live in it. They replay it. They relive the disappointment, the failure, the loss over and over again until it becomes part of their identity. They don't even see themselves outside of it anymore. It traps their mindset, shrinks their confidence, and locks their future in a room of regret. And the door to that room, it was never locked. They just stopped trying to walk out. But a warrior looks pain in the face and says, you're not going to stop me. You're going to shake me. A warrior says, I'm going to use this pain. I'm going to turn it into power. That's not just positive thinking. That's strategic living. That's deciding that if life is going to give you struggle, you're going to make it give you strength. That if you had to cry, you're going to come out wiser. That if you got knocked down, you're going to stand taller than before. Some of the greatest stories ever written were birthed in pain. Some of the strongest people you know were forged in fire. But they didn't wait for healing to move. They didn't wait for life to get easy. They got up while they were still bleeding. They kept going while they were still hurting. And every step they took, that pain started to shift. It started to lose its grip. Because pain can imprison a person who's using it as a path. You don't heal by hiding. You don't grow by sitting in the ashes. You rise by choosing to move, even with the scar, even with the limp, even with the fear. Because pain is a test, not a sentence. Not here to finish you. It's here to reveal you. It shows you what you're made of. It introduces you to the version of yourself you didn't know existed. The stronger version, the deeper version, the unstoppable version. When you look back over your life, it won't be the comfortable seasons that shaped you the most. It'll be the pain, the heartbreak, the failure, the setback, the days when you almost quit. That's where character was carved. That's where your grit came from. That's where your hunger was born. Don't waste that. Don't despise it. Don't run from it. Use it. Let it fuel your vision. Let it drive your discipline. Let it remind you that you're still breathing. And as long as you're breathing, you still got fight left in you. Let that pain wake you up every morning with purpose. Let it burn in your chest every time you want to quit. Let it remind you of everything you've survived and everything you still got to prove. Nobody gets to choose whether or not they feel pain in life, but everyone gets to choose what they do with it. You can be a victim or you can be a victor, or you can be a victor. You can sit in the past or you can stand in your power. You can cry about what happened or you can grind for what's coming. That choice will define your future more than any event ever could. So take your pain and turn it into your push. Don't let it change you. Let it challenge you. Let it motivate you to become everything they said you couldn't. Let it remind you how far you've come and how much more is waiting on the other side of your perseverance. Pain is not the end. It's the beginning. Not a wall, but a weapon. But only if you use it. Only if you refuse to let it define you and instead let it drive you. That's how warriors move. That's how champions are made. That's how legacies are born. Through the decision to turn pain into purpose. Pressure creates strength. Embrace the hard times. You don't become unbreakable by avoiding the weight. You become unbreakable by carrying it. Pressure is not your enemy. It's your trainer. It doesn't show up to destroy you. It shows up to develop you. And every time life puts something heavy on your shoulder, it's not to crush you. It's to show you that you were built for more, that you have power you haven't tapped into yet, that you got a level inside of you that only pressure can unlock. Everybody wants to be strong, but nobody wants the pressure. Everybody wants greatness, but they don't want the grind that comes with it. You can't have the reward without the resistance. You don't grow when things are easy. You grow when your back's against the wall, when the pressure is on. That's when you find out who you really are. Are you going to panic or rise? Are you going to run or resist? Pressure reveals the truth. Pressure doesn't lie. Most people spend their lives running from pressure, scared of failure, scared of discomfort, scared of being exposed. But warriors welcome pressure because they know pressure produces diamonds. Pressure builds toughness. Pressure pushes them beyond the surface and into their depth. And the deeper you go, the stronger you become. That's how the great ones are forged, not in celebration, but in struggle. See, pressure is a privilege. It means you're doing something that matters. It means you're growing. It means you're being stretched. It means you've left the safety of average and you're walking the road of potential. Pressure doesn't show up in comfort zones. It lives at the edge of your limits. And if you never feel pressure, you're probably not pushing hard enough. When you train under pressure, you build endurance, mental endurance, emotional endurance, the kind of strength that doesn't fold when things go sideways, that doesn't crumble when life gets chaotic. Because pressure doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It just arrives. And in that moment, you either let it shape you or shatter you. That's the decision. That's the line. And you better believe warriors crossing. You got to stop seeing pressure as punishment, man. It's not punishment. It's preparation. It's molding you. It's stretching you into someone who can carry more, do more, become more. You think the weight is too heavy? Good. That means it's working. That means it's changing you. If you want it easy, you still be in the same place you were last year. But easy never built anything worth remembering. Easy never left a legacy. When you feel the pressure, lean into it. When it gets heavy, hold the line. When life tries to fold you, push back. Pressure is where transformation lives. It's where the weak quit and the strong rise. It's where your future self is being carved out, rep by rep, moment by moment. Not when the cameras are rolling, not when the applause is loud, but when it's just you, the struggle, and the decision to keep going. You can't simulate real pressure. You can't fake the fire. That's why it's so valuable. That's why it's such a gift. Because if you let it, pressure will introduce you to the strongest version of yourself. The version that doesn't just talk about resilience. They live it. They breathe it. They become it. Not because they're fearless, but because they've learned to move with fear. Not because they're never tired, but because they've learned to keep pushing anyway. Pressure teaches you how to breathe when your lungs are screaming, how to think when your mind is racing, how to lead when everything around you is falling apart. It makes you precise, it makes you powerful, and eventually it makes you peaceful. Not because the storm stops, but because you become stronger than the storm. So stop praying for things to get easier. Stop praying for strength to match the pressure. Stop waiting for perfect conditions and start rising in the middle of the chaos. Pressure is not the problem. Your mindset toward it is. Once you stop resisting it, once you start embracing it, you realize pressure wasn't meant to kill you. It was meant to call you, to challenge you, to wake you up and remind you of the beast inside. Let it do its job and you do yours. Show up, stay grounded, and carry the weight. Because that pressure you're feeling, that's the sound of growth. That's the path to power. That's where greatness begins. Speak power to yourself every day, even when no one is watching. Because the most important voice you'll ever hear is not from a coach, a parent, a mentor, or a friend. It's the one in your head. That inner voice has the power to build you up or break you down, to push you forward or pull you back. And if you're not intentional, if you don't speak life into yourself daily, your mind will default to doubt, fear, and insecurity. That's just how it works. You have to take control of the conversation happening inside your head because your future depends on it. You got to become your own hype man, your own motivator, your own source of belief, because there will be days when nobody's clapping, nobody's cheering, nobody sees the effort you're putting in. But you still have to show up. You still have to move with confidence. That's why affirmations matter. That's why comedy matters. That's why self-talk isn't just fluff. It's a weapon. People talk about mindset like it's some vague concept, but mindset is built with words. The words you speak to yourself about yourself every single day. If you constantly say, I'm not good enough, I always mess up, or nothing ever works out for me, then don't be surprised when life reflects those beliefs. Your words shape your world. Your thoughts create your actions. Your actions define your life. It all starts with what you allow to live in your mind and come out of your mouth. You want to level up? Start speaking like someone who believes in their future. Start speaking like someone who's going somewhere. You don't need to lie to yourself. You need to lead yourself. You need to say, I've got what it takes. I'm built for this. Say it may not be there yet, but I'm getting closer every day. You don't have to feel powerful to speak power first. And your actions follow. There's something about the way the mind responds to repetition. The more you hear something, the more you believe it. That's why most people believe negative things about themselves, because they've been saying them for years. But if you flip the script, if you start feeding your mind true purpose and belief consistently, it will start to change the way you move, the way you see yourself, the way you respond to life. It's not magic, it's strategy. And don't wait for the world to validate you. Speak power into yourself before you ever get results. That's what separates leaders from followers. Most people wait to feel successful before they speak it. But winners declare while they're still in the dirt, while they're still grinding, while they're still building, Because they know the power of word. They don't speak where they are. They speak where they're going. Even when you feel weak, speak strength. Even when you feel lost, speak direction. Even when you feel stuck, speak movement. It's not about faking it. It's about planting seeds. Words are seeds. Every time you say something to yourself, you're planting a seed in your mind. And those seeds grow. So what are you growing? Are you growing doubt or determination? Are you growing fear or fire? You have to guard your mind like it's the most valuable thing you own, because it is. You have to be the gatekeeper of your own thoughts. And every time something negative tries to take root, replace it. Replace it with something stronger, something real. You can't always control what thoughts come in, but you can control which ones stay. Nobody is going to believe in you more than you believe in yourself. That's not arrogance. That's survival. That's how you keep going when things fall apart. That's how you rise when others stay down. That's how you walk into rooms you don't feel qualified for and dominate anyway. Because you already told yourself, I belong here. I'm ready. The world is loud. Life is unpredictable. And sometimes the silence is the hardest part. When there's no recognition, no feedback, no applause. That's when the inner voice matters most. That's when you find out what you really believe. That's when you either crumble or climb. And if you've trained yourself to speak power, to speak truth, to speak strength, then you'll rise even in the silence. So start today. Look yourself in the mirror and remind yourself who you are. Not based on your mistakes, not based on your doubts, based on your decision to grow, to evolve, to fight every day, speak power to yourself. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Because your voice is the first one you hear and the last one you'll answer to. Let that voice be one that speaks life, power, and purpose, no matter what the world is saying. Success is not luck. It's a decision backed by discipline. Too many people walk around waiting for something to happen, waiting for the right moment, waiting for motivation, waiting for a sign. They think success is this magical thing that shows up when the stars align, when everything feels right. But the truth is, success doesn't show up. You build it, you decide to go after it. You decide to be relentless, and then you back that decision with daily action. That's the formula. No fairy dust, no miracles. Just a made-up mind and a commitment to the grind. People love to say, some people are just lucky, but just lucky. But luck doesn't explain the 4 a.m. wake-ups. It doesn't explain the extra reps, the hours of study, the sacrifices made behind the scenes. That's not luck. That's choice. Oh, my. That's discipline. Every successful person you admire made a decision. I'm going to go get it. I'm going to pay the price. I'm going to stick with it even when it hurts. Success didn't land on them. They ran it down. Discipline is the real difference maker, not talent, not popularity, not background. Discipline is what separates those who finish from those who just start. Discipline says, I don't care how I feel today. I made a promise to myself. Discipline shows up when motivation is gone. Discipline takes action when emotion says, stop. And the decision to succeed becomes real only when it's backed by that kind of discipline. Not for a week, not for a month, but for as discipline is built in the dark. It's not built when people are watching. It's not built when the spotlight is on you or when the applause is loud. It's built in the quiet hours, when it's early, when it's cold, when your body is tired and your mind is whispering, take a break. That's the battlefield. That's where your future is decided, not in public, but in private. Not in front of the crowd, but behind closed doors where no one's checking on you and no one's holding your hand. That's where warriors are made. When you could hit snooze, but you rise. When you could cheat the workout, but you finish. When you could skip the steps, but you choose to grind. That's the difference between temporary motivation and lasting discipline. Motivation shows up loud, but leaves quietly. Discipline, it whispers. Let's go every day. Even when you're feeling saying no. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't ask for your mood. It doesn't wait for your circumstances to align. Discipline says, we've got work to do. Discipline isn't sexy. It's not glamorous. It's not always exciting, but it's powerful. It's what champions are built on, and it always starts in the dark. See, people want the outcome, but they don't want the process. They want the results, but not the routine. They want the rewards, but not the repetition. But you don't get strong by skipping the hard parts. You don't get tough by waiting for it to feel right. You get there by choosing a hard road. Consistently, in silence, because no one's coming to save you. No one's going to force you to get up early or eat right or practice or stay focused. That's your job. That's your fight. And if you don't fight for your future when it's hard, when it's lonely, when it's inconvenient, you won't get to enjoy it when it's easy. You won't have it when it matters. Discipline is the ultimate form of self-respect. It said, I deserve better than what comfort offers me. It says, I'm not living at the level of my feelings. I'm living at the level of my purpose. It's the habit of showing up. Not sometimes, but every time. Not when you feel good, but especially when you don't. Because those are the moments that build you. Those are the moments when something inside you changes. Those are the moments that separate you from the rest. Anybody can be consistent when it's convenient. But discipline, it shows up on the worst days. It shows up when you're frustrated, when you're exhausted, when you got every reason to quit. And it still says, we're not done. That's where the edge comes from. That's where you gain ground while others stay stuck. Don't wait for someone to motivate you. Don't wait for external validation. Start building your discipline in silence. Start creating the version of you that doesn't need hype to work, doesn't need applause to commit. Be the one who moves with quiet confidence, who outworks, outlasts, outgrinds, not because they have to prove anything, but because it's just who they are. You train in the dark so you can shine in the light. You bleed in practice so you don't break in battle. Every rep, every decision, every hour of focused effort, it's building something. You might not see the result today, but the compound effect is real. Every day you show up, you're stacking win. And one day the world's going to see what you built when no one was watching. So stay in the dark. Stay hungry. Stay focused. Let your silence be louder than their noise. Let your work speak louder than their doubt. And let your discipline become the foundation that everything else is built on. Because when the lights finally come on and the pressure hits and the world starts watching, you won't have to rise to the occasion. You'll fall back on your training. And that training, that grind, that relentless discipline built in the dark, that's what will carry you. Fear is natural, but it's not in control unless you let it be. Every great person you admire has felt fear. Every warrior, every leader, every champion. They all faced moments where fear crept in. But here's the truth most people don't want to admit. Fear is not the problem. Obedience to fear is the problem. Feeling it is human. Following it is a choice. And the moment you give fear the steering wheel, it starts to drive your life into the land of limitation, doubt, and regret. Fear is loud. It screams in your head, painting worst-case scenarios, magnifying failure, mocking your efforts. It'll tell you you're not good enough, not ready, not built for what you're facing. But just because it speaks doesn't mean you have to listen. Fear is like an alarm. It signals risk, but it doesn't decide your response. Warriors hear the alarm and still walk forward. They move through it. They don't pretend they're not scared. They just refuse to let that fear sit on the throne. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action in spite of it. And that's what separates those who break through from those who back down. The winners aren't fearless. They're just more committed than they are afraid. They've trained themselves to feel fear and still take the step, still lift the weight, still make the call, still chase the dream. They've realized something powerful. Fear is a liar and faith is louder, but only if you use it. The real damage fear causes is not just in the moment. It's in the long-term erosion of belief. Every time you choose fear, it gets stronger. Every time you choose to back down, fear starts building walls around your potential. You shrink a little. You lose a little courage. You set a little deeper into safety. And after a while, you start calling it wisdom. You start labeling your fear as a being realistic. But deep down, you know it's not that. It's just you allowing fear to write your story. But flip that script. Every time you face fear, you chip away at its power. Every time you step into it, something shifts inside you. Your confidence grows. Your belief multiplies. You realize, I didn't die. I didn't fall apart. I handled that. And the more you do it, the stronger that part of you becomes. The fearless part, the fighter, the one that was always inside, just waiting for permission to lead. Look, you're never going to eliminate fear entirely. It'll always show up when the stakes are high, but you can train your mind not to obey it. You can train yourself to stand in it and still speak, still move, still work, because the goal isn't to be fearless. The goal is to be braver than your fear. And then bravery is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. You have dreams that are bigger than your fear. You have a purpose that's louder than your doubt. But you'll never experience the fullness of either if you keep playing small just to avoid discomfort. That dream you keep pushing on is that goal you haven't started. That conversation you've been avoiding, fear is standing in front of it. And until you decide that fear doesn't get to run your life, you'll never touch the destiny waiting on the other side. So feel the fear and go anyway. Let it rise and walk through it. Look it in the face and say, oh, you're not stronger than my vision. You're not greater than my calling. That's what warriors do. They don't need perfect condition. They don't need guarantees. They just need one reason to move, and they make that reason louder than the fear. Fear will always have something to say, but so will your purpose. So will your purpose. So will your grit. So will your faith. The question is, which one are you going to listen to? Which voice will lead your life? Because that decision, that simple daily decision, is the difference between a life of regret and a life of greatness. And that choice, it's yours every single day. The fight is never outside you. The real battle is within. You can change your job, change your environment, change your circle. But if you don't change yourself, nothing truly changes. You are your greatest opponent and your greatest ally. It's your mind, your doubts, your habits, your excuses, your choices. That's what determines whether you rise or stay stuck. And until you win that war, the one inside, you'll never fully win on the outside. People think success is about defeating others, outperforming the competition, getting more followers, more attention. But the truth, you're not racing them, you're racing the version of you that wants to stay average. The version of you that wants to hit snooze, that wants to skip the workout, that wants to stay safe, stay quiet, stay invisible. Every single day you wake up, that version of you is waiting. And if you don't show up with discipline, drive, and purpose, that version wins. It's not your boss. That's not your background. It's not the economy. It's you. And that's not to blame. That's to empower. Because if it's you, then it's under your control. You have the power to shift it, to silence the inner critic, to outwork the inner laziness, to destroy the limiting beliefs that say I can, and replace them with I will. That battle is fought in your habits, your mindset, your words, your daily grind. You don't beat it once. You beat it every day. You are the gatekeeper of your life. No one else is going to force you to grow. No one is going to hand you purpose or perseverance or passion. You have to generate it from within. You have to lead yourself before you can lead anything or anyone else. That's the real work. The kind that can't be seen. The kind that happens in the dark, in silence, when no one's cheering, but that determines everything. Look around. Everyone wants motivation, but few are willing to master their mind. They chase quick wins, external validation, the next shortcut. But nothing changes until you confront your internal world. Until you say, and no more excuses. Until you decide that your fear, your doubt, your insecurity, they don't get a vote anymore. That voice in your head that keeps you small, shut it down. That comfort that tells you you've done enough, push past it. You don't need another opportunity. You need another level of ownership. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be honest. Honest about your weaknesses. Honest about your pattern. Honest about the ways you've been holding yourself back. Because once you face that truth, now you can do something about it. That's what warriors do. They don't hide from the inner fight. They confront it. They sit in it, they win it. You're already equipped with everything you need, but your inner battles are blocking access to it. The anxiety, the fear, the regret, the laziness, those are weights. And you've got to train every day to lift them off. To fight back with focus, with intentionality, with a mission. The real battle isn't about talent, it's about master yourself. You master yourself and you can master anything. So stop wasting energy trying to fix the world if you haven't first fixed what's going on inside you. The world doesn't need another perfect face. It needs a person who's done the inner work. That's how you lead. That's how you become dangerous in a good way. So stop. That's how you build unshakable confidence, not by pretending, but by facing the fire inside and saying, I own this. When you win the battle within, the world outside can't stop you. Obstacles don't intimidate you. Pressure doesn't break you. Criticism doesn't shake you because you're rooted. You're aligned. You fought the real war and you came out stronger. That kind of inner strength, it doesn't fade. It doesn't depend on applause. It's real, it's raw, it's rare, and it's yours if you choose to win that battle daily. So stop pointing fingers, stop playing small, stop avoiding the mirror, get quiet, get focused, and do the work. Because once you win the fight inside, no outside force can touch you.